just talking of psychoanalyzing people, you've got two complete polar opposites now running for president of the United States. If you were psychoanalyzing Trump and Kamala Harris, what would you conclude right now based on everything you've seen and heard?
Well, if I could vote in the American election, I would vote for Trump. And I don't trust Harris. Now, do I trust Trump? Well, he was president for 4 years. Like, look, the best predictor of someone's future behavior is their past behavior. If you're trying to hire someone and you have documented history of their efforts in precisely the domain that you're attempting to hire for, and the evidence is clear and valid, you use that in favor of all other predictive, what would you say, predictive markers. So I think it's more appropriate for me as a clinician who knows the psychometric literature to point out that independent of Trump's personality, which tends, by the way, to be a relatively weak predictor of behavior, it's intelligence that's the best predictor, and then personality. We have a documented track record. Okay, so what do we know about Trump? Well, as far as I'm concerned, we know this: decent economic performance, markedly stable international situation, no wars, plus, and that's something, no wars. Plus, he established the Abraham Accords, and they've held even after October 7th, and everybody in the State Department told the Trump administration that putting that agreement together was impossible. Now, of course, it's the Abraham Accords that have infuriated and frustrated the bad actors in Iran, and that's pretty much the entire political class there, and fomented October 7th and produced this catastrophe that's unfolding. But putting that at the feet of Donald Trump is a very ill-advised thing to do. So I would say, with regards to Trump, well, we know what a Trump presidency would be like, but there's something else to consider too, because you might say, well, you know, that was round one and now it's round two and Trump is older. And although I think he's actually modified his behavior to some degree as a consequence of being beat up so thoroughly over the last 5 years, and although he's a bit defensive, he's also less blustery and more human, which I think is a big plus. But for me, the other thing that I've seen really switch that's really been positive for me is that Trump has pulled a lot of hyper powerful people together around him. Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek Ramaswamy, Robert F. Kennedy, most of whom would have been Democrats in anything approximating a sane and normal world. And so, you see, my sense is that somebody whose narcissistic impulses are out of control, because Trump is a flamboyant and dominating character who likes the public light. So you think, well, you know, does he tilt too far in the narcissistic direction? It's like, well, why would he share the spotlight with the rest of this crew? And the other thing that we should consider is that, look, man, I would vote for Trump if for no other reason than Musk himself has already agreed to head something like a Department of Governmental Efficiency in the US. It's like, okay, enough said. You know, and then Kennedy is bringing the public health crisis into the political realm. And both those two things are revolutionary.
I would also say
Ramaswamy seems to be... Go ahead.
Ramaswamy is a very smart guy as well. I completely agree with you on that. Also, I think that Trump has shown with these assassination attempts something very surprising that I suspect a lot of people would not have expected, and that is genuine personal courage. I mean, the first time when he was actually shot, to insist on getting back up and to punch the air defiantly was a remarkable thing to do. But I thought what even more remarkably was a week later, he was back on stage at another rally with an even bigger crowd, like nothing had happened. I spoke to him that night and he was, you know, very gung-ho. I'm just going to keep doing it. They're not going to stop me. That is personal moral courage. I don't think you ever know whether you have it until it happens. And then you saw again with this latest one, you know, he was cracking jokes immediately afterwards, saying, well, I wish I could have finished my birdie putt. Again, the reaction, I mean, it's a quality of Trump that we haven't really seen until you see it. And you're never quite sure how people will respond when there are genuine threats to kill them. and he's actually been shot and then nearly got killed again. And yet he's back out there continuing with the campaigning. So whatever you think of Trump, I do think on the personal courage aspect, he's shown a lot of it recently.
Yes, grace under pressure, but also you pointed to something else, is that he was up cracking jokes. You know, Hitler wasn't well known for his sense of humor. And the thing about Trump, and you can't deny this, Trump is a funny bastard.
Right.
He's funny. He'll say daring things just because they're comical. He's really good at it. And even his Twitter usage, his X usage, Twitter, of course, because he's not really using the platform now, impulsive, entertaining, unbelievably cutting and funny in a stand-up comedian sort of manner. And, you know, that just doesn't go well with the tyrannical personality, because tyrants aren't well known for being able to tolerate the court jester. Let's put it that way. And so Trump is tough and funny. The other thing about Trump you got to think about too is, you know, is he ambitious? Well, I don't think it's ambition that's driving his pursuit of this second term. I mean, first of all, Trump's an old man. And second of all, he's already president and he's as famous as you can get.
Yeah.
And you might say, well, his ambition is so overweening that, you know, it's compelling him forward regardless. And I don't actually think so. I actually think that what happened was that Trump accidentally became president, shocked the hell out of him. And then he got some sense of exactly how unstable and corrupt the DC swamp had become. And he started to take the role seriously. And now I think he's taking it even more seriously. And that's part of why he's building this coalition. I think he made a dreadful mistake in the debate with Kamala Harris because, well, first of all, he didn't highlight the Biden laptop spectacle, which is like a bit of political maneuvering that outdoes any deviance that I've ever seen since the beginning of my political awareness, including everything that went around Richard Nixon, who was impeached for his much lesser sins. Trump has gathered these people around him and he's ready to move forward. Now, he didn't make a case for that in the damn debate.
I thought he was
he
actually.
didn't say, look,
I thought he had a bad
go
debate,
ahead,
actually. I thought that she played him rather cleverly. She played to his narcissism, let's call it, I think, what it is a bit, about the crowd sizes, about all that kind of stuff. And rather than him laser-like focusing on her weakness, which is that after 4 years, the country clearly is not in a better place. That's why she couldn't answer that question. And skewering her on her actual paucity of policy knowledge. I mean, she doesn't seem to know what she would do if she ran the country. She sort of played into his hands of allowing himself to be goaded and getting into a bit of a street fight and then saying crazy stuff about cats and dogs and so on and so on.